today's video we are going to be reacting to an old video today. We are going to be looking back at this video I made at the start of the 24-25 Premier League season, where I predicted every Premier League club's breakout player for this season. And we're going to have a look and see, was I actually right or was I wrong about my predictions? So it's a little bit of a different video today. You're going to get double ASMR really, because I'm going to watch the video and I'll pause it and then we're going to run through each pick and first give my verdict on whether I was right or wrong about the player I selected. And if I was wrong, who actually is the breakout player for that club this season. So it should be an interesting one. I'm hoping I don't make myself look like an absolute fool, which probably will happen, but we'll have to see. But yeah, hopefully I can get some of these right. And we'll have a look, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. But let's get into it now. I should say a breakout star before we get into it, I guess, is probably defined as a player who is somebody this season who sort of no one really expected and has really burst onto the scene. This is maybe their first season in the Prem where they've actually become established as a starter, or they had a couple okay seasons, but this year they really improved. So anyways, let's get into it. So I believe we're in alphabetical order here, so I'll play the video, I'll listen to my explanation for a little bit, and then I'll pause it and give my thoughts now. But let's go. Arsenal. Ethan Noweri. Oh man. With Arsenal set for another season battling for the Premier League title, there may once again be little opportunities afforded to the club's yet to be established players. Across all competitions last season, Mikel Arteta only gave game time to two players younger than Bukayo Saka. And those two players, Ethan Noweri and Charles Saka Jr., were handed just one appearance each. Noweri is the academy product Arsenal fans are most excited about though. Okay, I'll pause it there because I think we get the idea. So Ethan Noweri, awful pronunciation of his name by the way, because I mean that kind of showed when I made this video 1 year ago. He wasn't a star, he wasn't a big player, so I didn't even know how to say his name. I said in this video he only made one appearance in the Premier League last season, so look, was I right? I mean, Ethan Noweri has had a breakout year, he's had much more game time and has looked really good, so while I am right, he did have a breakout season, he probably isn't the breakout star for Arsenal though, as you've got to give it to Miles Lewis-Skelly, right? Lewis-Skelly has done exceptional, right, coming in at left back really from out of nowhere. He's probably been in general maybe the breakout season player of the Premier League season this year, and has emerged as one of the brightest young talents in football and one of the best left backs in the Prem already this season. At his age is truly terrific, and he's a regular in the Arsenal team, so I was right. Ethan Noweri did have a breakout campaign, but the pick was technically wrong because it's probably Lewis-Skelly, but I'll give myself like a half point there. Also, by the way, I don't know, like, why am I playing a career mode with Southampton? So random. But anyways, Aston Villa, Costa Nedeljkovic, who the problem for Villa's youngsters is that after a busy summer window in the window, the first team is looking so well stocked right across the pitch that there could be no opportunities for anyone to prove themselves. There is a chance, however, that Unai Emery thinks there could be room for improvement at right back, where Matty Cash and Ezri Konsa shared duties last season. An 18-year-old Costa Nedeljkovic is an exciting prospect in that position. Okay, so I picked Costa Nedeljkovic, the right back, as the breakout stop for Villa, and I mean it's safe to say this one was definitely wrong. Now, he did get some game time at the start of this season. Overall, he made 5 appearances in the first half of the campaign for Villa, but never really got too many opportunities to start games in the Villa shirt, sadly. And he has been loaned out in January, but he was loaned out to RB Leipzig. He's actually played quite a bit there, so I mean, this one is maybe, this year wasn't a breakout campaign for him, but he's developing pretty nicely, and who knows, maybe next season could actually be the breakout campaign for him, but I was definitely wrong here. Now, as for who is the breakout star for Aston Villa this season, I think you probably have to give it. There's 2 players that come to mind. One player is actually Juron Raki, who nobody was really talking about at the start of the season, but he was absolutely sensational in the first half of the campaign, but obviously left halfway through to Saudi Arabia. But the other person who I would say has probably been the breakout star is Morgan Rogers for Villa. He has been fantastic this season. Again, nobody really was speaking about Rogers at Villa at the start of the season. I think nobody was expecting too much from him. He had joined in January and done okay, but by far didn't pull any trees or anything. But he's come into the side, and he's been one of the best and most important players in that Aston Villa team. He's been terrific. He's become an England international, so I would give it to Morgan Rogers as the breakout star, and I was definitely wrong with this one, so let's move on. Bournemouth. Okay. Dean Hudson. Bam. Where can Hudson go? There are no limits, because he has a level of knowledge, reading and playing of the game that is difficult to teach to a player. He looks like a 30-year-old. Those were the comments of Roma manager Daniele De Rossi, who was in charge of Hudson last season at Roma. And I think that perfectly describes just who Bournemouth have signed. Hudson was long earmarked as a future centre-back for Juventus, and the 18-year-old showed that he is ready for regular top-level action after his performances for Roma last season. He is very, very comfortable on the ball with a great ability to carry the ball into midfield and launch attacks. Okay, so, firstly, just like Ethan Waneri, a horrible pronunciation of his name because I had barely known who this kid was, but this is definitely right, and I'm pretty proud of myself here about Dean Hudson picking him, because I don't think too many people were really batting an eyelid when he did sign for Bournemouth. So for me to pick him, I'm pretty pleased, and that description of him I just said there, comfortable on the ball, bringing it forward, great ball playing defender, is definitely right. Hudson, along with Lewis Kelly, has definitely been one of the breakout stars of this campaign for Bournemouth this year. For sure, he has been terrific at his age to be doing what he's doing, and so calm and relaxed, and seems so unfazed by the big stage. Is terrific, and it's very likely he's going to be making a big move to a big club in the summer, so At least I've got one definitely right so far, but let's move on. Oh, okay, well, there we go. Brentford, Yarmouk, signed in 2022 from Dnipro, where he had become the second youngest ever player to start a game in the Ukrainian Premier League. Wow. Yarmouk spent a year in the B team before working his way into the senior squad last season. Okay, so I picked Yarmouk for Brentford, and you know what? I think I was probably right about this. So, Yarmouk last season didn't really make too many appearances. He only made about 5 appearances in the Brentford first team. But this year, he has played a much more crucial role. Overall, he's played 26 games, not all of them starts, but he has played quite a bit and has been trusted a lot more this season by Thomas Frank. And is, definitely a member of that first team right now, an established member of the Brentford first team. He's contributed a decent amount this year, so you know what, it's not a bad shout. In terms of other people, I mean, maybe Yarmouk is a breakout player for Brentford. You could potentially argue Mikel Damsgaard simply because this season has been absolutely terrific, and the previous years he really did nothing. But I'm not too mad about that. I think Yarmouk is a solid suggestion there by me. Valentin Barco, who, given he is only 31 years old himself, it seems natural to assume that new Brighton manager Fabian Herzler will be open to giving young players time on the pitch. There's never any shortage of exciting and talented players you've never heard of at the Amex, so it would be no surprise to see Valentin Barco given more first-team opportunities. Okay, so Brighton, I selected Valentin Barco. Now, I don't blame myself for picking Barco because at the time he had joined Brighton in January 2024. He had played a few games, looked pretty promising at left back for the club. He was very highly rated. But actually, so I made this before the window closed. Sadly, Barco was loaned out in that summer window, so he didn't even stay at Brighton. He was sent to Sevilla. That loan didn't work out though, and he was sent on another loan, this time to Strasbourg, and I think there might even be an option to buy him there, as very likely he will be leaving Brighton. So yeah, Barco has definitely not been the breakout star this season for Brighton. He didn't even play a single minute of Premier League football for Brighton this season, so this is a horrible shout. But as for who is the breakout star for Brighton, that's kind of tough because, I mean, usually, I said there, right, there's no shortage of unknown stars at Brighton. I feel like this season there maybe hasn't been, like in previous years, where you have like a Karu Mitoma or a Caicedo or a McAllister or someone like this just emerge out of nowhere. I feel like that hasn't happened at Brighton this year. I mean, maybe you could say like Van Heck, or I mean, I'll probably give it to Yankuba Minte, but yeah, I don't think there's been this breakout star at Brighton this season, or a standout one, but it definitely isn't Barco, so that was a horrible one. Alright, here we go. Chelsea, Josh Ajin Bong. Okay. In a bloated squad full of very, very, very expensive players, it's going to remain difficult for Chelsea's youngsters to break into the first team without a similar injury crisis to what happened last season. Wow, what a freak hit. That crisis did, however, open a few doors to the senior squad, and Josh Ajin Bong was one of the few players who got a chance in the first team, and it appears he might be about to get more. Okay, so Chelsea, I selected Josh Ajin Bong. You know what? like Ethan Waneri, Ajin Bong has definitely had a breakout campaign this year. He only made one appearance in the Premier League last season. He's made 5 this year. And if we look at all competitions, he's actually played 15 games overall this season, which is pretty good for a youngster at Chelsea. So yeah, it's definitely been a breakout campaign for him. He signed a new deal, a 5-year deal. Has been a member of the first team, played quite a bit, particularly in the Conference League. So it has been a breakout campaign for him. But the breakout star is, I would argue, maybe Tyreek George is slightly been more of a breakout star. Tyreek George has had a lot more first team appearances than Ajin Bong, and I think has slightly impressed a little bit more. You know, he scored in the Premier League, he scored in the Conference League too. He's been very good actually in the Conference League and has been trusted with a little bit more minutes in the first team than Josh Ajin Bong. But yeah, I think those two probably been the breakout stars for Chelsea this season. So I'll give myself sort of like Waneri a point-ish for that this season for Chelsea. Crystal Palace, Juron Raki. Okay. With Michael Elise having left for Bayern Munich, there's a space to be filled on the Palace wing. Although Ismail Assar has been signed, there is a chance that one of the club's most exciting young talents will be given game time alongside Sarr to fill that Elise hole. Alright, so Crystal Palace, I went for Juron Raki. Raki, very talented player, and at the time it looked like he was going to be staying at Palace and given a chance in the first team. However, sort of like Barco, he ended up leaving on loan that window, late in the window, joining Sheffield United on loan, where, to be fair, he's actually done pretty decent. He's had a solid campaign for Sheffield United in the Championship. I'm not sure what the future holds for him at Palace, if he does have a future or not, but he's been okay. He hasn't been at the club this year, and was not the person to fill the Elise fold. Ismail Assar has sort of actually stepped up in that role instead. As for who is the breakout player for Palace, I'm really struggling here. I don't really think there has been a massive breakout player for Palace this season, which is a little bit odd to be honest, because similar to Brighton, it feels like almost every year they have this breakout player, Elise or an Eze or a Gay or a Wharton. But this year, I don't know, Palace fans, let me know in the comments below if you can think of one, but I don't really think there has been a breakout star, because players like Medetta, Eze, Gay were already established names, so yeah, I'm struggling to think who the breakout star is, but it definitely is not Raki. Everton, Tim Bonham. It's been 2.5 years since Tim Bonham made his Premier League debut for Villa, but after spending 22-23 on loan at QPR, playing a full season of Championship football, it took a while for him to get back into the Villa team. Emery could not guarantee the midfielder game time. So this summer, Bonham made a $9 million move to Everton, where he'll hope to play more football in the middle of park. Okay, so Everton, I selected Tim Bonham, new signing from Aston Villa. He was sort of part of that like PSR dodgy deals, but yeah, he has not been a breakout player. I said he hoped to get some more minutes at Everton, but he really hasn't got it. I don't know, for whatever reason, Sean Dyche particularly didn't seem to rate him. Moyes, he has been unable to displace Idrissa Gueye in the midfield. And yeah, he has made 16 appearances overall this season, but most of them haven't been starts in the Premier League, and he's just been a rotational guy. He is still young, so who knows, he maybe can come good at at Everton, but this season has not been the breakout campaign he would have hoped for. Now, as for who it is similar at Everton, I'm kind of struggling to see who the breakout player could be. I'm thinking maybe you could argue Beto. Maybe you could argue Beto, just because he was so bad and all of a sudden just has hit some insane form this season. But yeah, I don't really know if there's been a breakout player for Everton this season. But again, it's not Eric Fulham. Right, let's move on. Fulham, Jay Stansfield. After some cameos for the first team, he went on loan to Exeter, where his late father Adam was much loved as a player, and he scored 9 goals in League One before moving to Birmingham on another loan deal last season. Despite Birmingham being relegated, Stansfield shone as he claimed 12 goals, and supposedly the club are interested in making his move permanent. Well, I said the club were interested in making the move permanent, and they did indeed make it permanent. Another one of those, Stansfield, after this video would leave Fulham for Birmingham that window on a permanent transfer. And it was, I believe, the most expensive transfer in League One history, by the way. It was a crazy amount, £15 million for a League One signing. It was crazy. But yeah, he did join Birmingham on a permanent, and has helped them get promotion back to the Championship. So yeah, definitely not a breakout star for Fulham. Who is the breakout star for Fulham? Again, I don't really think Fulham have had a breakout player this year. Most of their players this season that have done well have sort of been established Premier League guys like Alex Iwobi, like Raul Jimenez, Sander Berge and stuff. Anthony Robinson. I don't think anyone's been a true breakout player. So let me know in the comments below who you think has been the breakout player for Fulham. By the way, I got absolutely packed in this game for Southampton. Damn. Anyways, let's move on. Ipswich Town, Liam Delap. Oh yes. The 21-year-old did show signs of promise at City though, scoring 24 goals in 20 games in Premier League 2, before adding 8 in 10 the following year. He was unable to match that output in the Championship though, scoring just 3 times for Stoke and once for Preston. However, his 8 goals for Hull impressed Ipswich enough to put money on the table for him. Under Kieran McKenna, who rarely seems to fail in improving players, Delap could reach that next level and become a great Premier League level striker. Oh yes, he did indeed become a great Premier League level striker. It's another big hit. Liam Delap, sort of like Dean Howson, has been one of the top breakout players from the campaign this season. In a struggling Ipswich side, he really has impressed with his physicality, his goal scoring, his all-round play has been terrific, and he's emerged as one of the best young strikers in the Premier League right now. So, a massive, correct one here, and I will definitely take my plaudits. Thank you very much for tipping Liam Delap to be a breakout player. So that is now Dean Howson and Delap, 2 of the biggest, I think, breakout players of the campaign I got right in this video, so we'll take it. Let's move on. Leicester City, Abdul Fatawi. Leicester fans might be wondering why I've gone with a player already established in their first team. Well, Fatawi is yet to prove himself at the top level, having only turned 20 years old in March. The Ghana international was linked with a move to Liverpool before joining Sporting in 2022, though he only made 10 appearances for the first team with just 1 start. Fatawi was on loan at the King Power last season and looked sharp in the Championship. Fatawi has now made his move to Leicester permanent, and it will be interesting to see if he can also take the Premier League by storm next season. Okay, so Leicester City, I went Abdul Fatawi. Now, this one is kind of unfortunate because, unfortunately, Abdul Fatawi has been injured for most of the campaign this season, meaning he's only made 11 appearances in the Premier League for Leicester, which has really stopped him from having a breakout campaign. And I will say, actually, in those 11 appearances, he looked pretty good. He had some real bright moments for Leicester at the start of the season, but yeah, sadly, has been injured for most of it, so has not been the breakout player at Leicester City. As for who has, I would say it's between two players, Bilal El Khanous and Facundo Buonanotte. Both players have been one of the only shining lights at Leicester City this season in a very struggling side. Both of them, two youngsters, have come in and they've been raw and inconsistent, of course, but in a struggling side they've really shown some real moments of quality and looked really, really good. So I would say it's probably one of those, but this one is rather unfortunate because really injury is the reason. Fatawi hasn't been able to show his level in the Prem this year, but I still stand by that if he was fit, he would have had a pretty good campaign this year. Liverpool, Stefan Bajcetic. A pile-up of injuries halfway through the 22-23 season meant Klopp was given no other choice than to thrust 17-year-old Bajcetic into the base of his midfield though. What followed was a potential glimpse in the future as the Spaniard showcased his classy composure on the ball. His run of the team came to a halt through injury shortly after though, and last season Bajcetic only featured in 3 games after being dogged by injuries. He's back now and participating fully in pre-season and will be eager to make up for lost time. Okay, so Liverpool went Stefan Bajcetic, I have no idea how you say his name, but yeah, this was yet another one of those unfortunate ones where shortly after making this video he would be sent out on loan away from the club. He was sent on loan to RB Salzburg with former Klopp assistant Pep Linders, who was the manager at the time, but Salzburg had a disastrous time under him and he personally did not do well, didn't get too much game time, so he was recalled and sent to Las Palmas where he's been okay. But yeah, of course that's not been a breakout player for Liverpool. As for who is the breakout player for Liverpool this season, I mean, yeah, they haven't really given too many youngsters a chance, considering obviously they're in a title race. Maybe you could argue Ryan Gravenberch has been a breakout player simply because no one was expecting anything really from him. I think a lot of people didn't even expect him to be a starter at the start of this season for Liverpool, but he's been one of their most important and best players this year, so yeah, I would probably give it to Ryan Gravenberch, I guess, but I was definitely wrong here. Manchester City, James McAtee. Okay. He scored 9 times in 37 championship games for Sheffield United. Much like the entire Sheffield United team, McAtee was less productive in the Premier League last season, but still managed 3 goals and 3 assists in 30 games. Crucially, at least in terms of whether he can make a career for himself at City, Pep has suggested the 21-year-old will get chances at City this season. Okay, so Pep did say he would get chances at Man City this season, but he hasn't really had too many. In the first half of the season, he had no chances. I believe he only made 1 Premier League appearance up until January this season, and it did look like McAtee was, gonna leave Man City maybe in January. However, he stayed and has actually in the second half of the season slowly actually started to become a breakout player. He's actually started a lot more games fairly recently towards the back end of the season and has done really well. He scored his first Premier League goal well for Man City too during that time, and he's played a pretty decent amount for City. So, I mean, maybe he's not been a proper breakout star, but I think it's been a pretty decent campaign, at least the end of it, for McAtee. However, he has probably not been the breakout player at Man City. You would have to give it to Nico O'Reilly. Similar to McAtee, really only the second half of the season, the back end of this year, has he emerged. But what a player he looks like, almost similar to Lewis Skelly in a way, a midfielder who has been moved to left back and has just looked unbelievable at left back this year. And really, since he's moved into left back, it's actually kind of changed Man City's season. He looks fantastic there and has become a regular starter at left back for Man City. So he's probably been the breakout star for City. And James McAtee, I mean, he's done alright, but probably not been the breakout player. Manchester United, Toby Collier. Given what has happened with Kobbie Mainoo over the past 12 months, when Man United manager Erik ten Hag picks out a young player, there is genuine reason to get excited. He's now earned an opportunity, ten Hag said about Toby Collier after the 20-year-old played in a pre-season win over Rangers. Okay, well, firstly, I mean, that is just not true. Well, to be fair, he did give up, some youngsters a chance, Ten Hag, but yeah, if Ten Hag picks you out as a good player, you're probably actually not a good player. So yeah, look, Toby Collier, it's probably not been a breakout campaign for him. He has made some first team appearances this year. Overall, I believe he's made 6 Premier League appearances, although most of them have just been cameo appearances off the bench. But I don't think it's been a breakout campaign for him. I think the breakout player for Man United has to be Amad Diallo, who, ironically, I put in the thumbnail of this video, but I did not say, which is pretty annoying. But yeah, Amad, at the start of the campaign, a lot of people are thinking he might leave Man United, or go on like a loan, but he's remained, and particularly when Amorim came in, he was given a chance and was one of United's best attackers before he got injured, sadly, and they thoroughly missed him because, yeah, he looked terrific under Ruben Amorim, but sadly has been injured. But he's definitely been the breakout player, not Toby Collier. Newcastle, Lewis Miley. Lewis Miley has long been tipped for the top by those who have followed Newcastle's underage teams in recent years, but nobody could have foreseen the immediate impact the 17-year-old made on the first team last season. He is already Newcastle's youngest ever Premier League goal scorer, and after signing a new long-term contract, Miley should become the homegrown centrepiece of a Magpies project in years to come. Okay, so I picked Lewis Miley for Newcastle, and I completely understand why I would pick Lewis Miley because, I mean, as I mentioned there, right, he put in some amazing performances for Newcastle the year before in the Champions League and throughout the season and looked so good. But sadly, this year has really not been a breakout campaign for Miley. He's just not been able to get many minutes because that midfield trio of Joel Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali, who has returned from his billing ban this year, has just been so good that it's been impossible for Miley to break through into that, and he's only got 11 Premier League appearances this season, and most of those coming off the bench, which is rather unfortunate because Miley is such a talented player, and I still do stand by that, but he's just not really been given too much game time this year, and there is talk that he might even leave in the summer. As for who is the breakout player for Newcastle, I think it's probably between Livramento Lewis Hall. I think you would have to say both fullbacks have been absolutely terrific this season, regular starters for Newcastle. And at the start of the season actually weren't really regulars. Kieran Trippier was starting over Livramento. Dan Burn would be playing at left back a lot of the time. But both of them have emerged as key players for Newcastle, particularly Livramento on that right hand side. And yeah, they've both been terrific, so I would say it's probably between those two as the breakout players, not Lewis Miley. Nottingham Forest, Elliot Anderson. Okay. Another Scottish Newcastle Academy graduate, Elliot Anderson was on the Newcastle books since the age of 8 and went on to play 55 times for the Magpies, racking up 44 Premier League appearances at the age of just 21. He's got Premier League experience and also Champions League experience, but now at Forest he's going to be playing as a regular, as one of the key men for Nottingham. Alongside Gibbs White, Anderson could thrive as a more important piece to his team and make Newcastle rue selling him. Okay, well, I think I was probably right there. I think Newcastle would be a little bit disappointed that they did sell Elliot Anderson looking back now, because Elliot Anderson has been, as I mentioned, an important player for Nuno's side, alongside Gibbs White has been terrific for Forest this season. Forest have had so many outstanding players who have been, I guess you could say, breakout stars, players like Ola Aina, Murillo, Milenkovic, Elanga, but I think you can chuck in Elliot Anderson in there too, because when he left Newcastle, I think it was I was one of them. I was sort of like, he was alright at Newcastle, nothing too special, but at Forest he's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I think I was fairly justified with this pick, to be honest. Anderson has been pretty good, an important player for Forest. Southampton, Yukiniru Sugawara, Southampton have signed the Japanese international right back this summer from AZ Alkmaar, and he could make an immediate impact for the Saints. In his 5-year stay in the Netherlands, the defender amassed nearly 200 appearances for the first team, including a club record 53 games in European competitions. Sugawara, who has 13 caps for Japan, impressed massively in his last season with AZ, grabbing 11 goal contributions in just 30 games from right back in Eredivisie. He's a really underrated signing and could shock a few this season who don't know a lot about him. Right, well, he was not an underrated signing and definitely did not shock anybody at Southampton. He's been a regular starter for Southampton at least. He's played quite a lot of games this season, but the way I was hyping him up, you're thinking he's the next Trent Alexander-Arnold down that right hand side with his creativity, but this guy, far from it. To be fair, he hasn't, it's not like his fault that Southampton have been so bad. It's not like I can single him out for being horrific. He's sort of just been fair, but he's been part of one of the worst Premier League sides ever, so yeah, he has not been a breakout star, hasn't really done anything of note at Southampton. The breakout star at Southampton, though, has to be Tyler Dibling, who absolutely terrific. He has been a player who, in a bad side, has shown glimmers of hope and glimmers of quality, and I'm assuming a lot of clubs will be interested in him. Tottenham, Mikey Moore. Okay. It's been a long time since one of Tottenham's academy products made a proper success of their career at the club, but there arguably hasn't been anyone to be as excited about for years as Mikey Moore. Still only 16, he made his Spurs debut at the end of last season as a substitute against Man City, and then shone this summer at the Under-17 Euros with England. He's been on pre-season Spurs fans will be hopeful Moore's exceptional talent mean he breaks through and they can enjoy another academy product into the first team. Okay, Mikey Moore was my pick, and I mean, it's sort of another one of those where it's a half point because yes, Mikey Moore has played a lot more this season and broken into the first team. He's made overall 12 games in all competitions this season, which is pretty good for someone his age, and does look like a really good talent. However, injuries sadly have meant he hasn't been able to play a whole bunch as much as maybe he had hoped. And also, while he has had a somewhat breakout campaign, the real breakout star at Spurs has to be Lucas Bergvall. Yeah, he has been someone who has been a regular starter throughout the entire season for Spurs. Came in from Sweden. No one was really expecting too much from him, but he has been a regular in the Spurs midfield and a key player, a consistent performer for them throughout the entire year. He's had some real moments of quality, scored some big goals, had some big performances, and at his age to be doing what he's doing as a regular for Spurs is truly impressive. So Bergvall has been the breakout star, but Mikey Moore has had a pretty good campaign. West Ham, George Urphy. 19-year-old George Urphy will hope for more first-team opportunities under Lopetegui after signing his first professional contract and making his debut last season. Urphy, who is 19, even scored with his first touch in West Ham's meeting with Luton on the 11th of May, netting 67 seconds after coming on as a substitute. Well, that would be his only contribution in a West Ham shirt. I mean, now to be fair, he's been another one of those who has sadly been sent on a loan after I made this video. He was sent to Bristol City in the Championship, where he has actually been a regular player, and by all accounts has done decent for them, played quite a lot of minutes, so that's been pretty decent for his development. Who knows, maybe next season he could be in the West Ham first team, but to be fair, this season's been pretty bleak for West Ham, and I don't actually think there has been a breakout star for this campaign. For West Ham, everyone in that squad has just been pretty poor, to be honest, besides the usual stars like Jared Bowen. So, West Ham fans, let me know in the comments below who has been the breakout star for you guys, but I really can't think of one, to be honest. Right, the final one. And finally, we have Wolves. Leon Chiwome. The 18-year-old was pinpointed as the best young talent at Wolves in 2022, but only now he is starting to force his way into the senior squad. Following a injury crisis at the club last season, his Premier League debut came against Villa in March when he was just 18 years old. Gary O'Neill had earlier included Chiwome in their winter training camp after Christmas, but with the first teamers back from injury ahead of the new season, Chiwome is once again having to make do with the under-21s in pre-season. Well, that is where Chiwome would stay because he has been part of the under-21s this entire campaign and has not made a first-team appearance in the Premier League this season, sadly. I mean, I don't know how good he's done in the under-21s, but yeah, he hasn't been able to break out this season. He is still at Wolves. Maybe he'll be sent on a loan next season to try and get some minutes, but he's not been the breakout star for Wolves, certainly. For breakout star, I would say you'd have to give it to Andre. The new signing came in from Brazil and has just been sensational. Him and João Gomez have formed a fantastic partnership together. And yeah, Andre has emerged as a really, really good Premier League midfielder. So I would give it to Andre. Definitely not that guy. That was quite bad, but that is all of them. Although I just want to play this video to see if I score this chance, to be honest. Yeah, that was a pretty intense players. So those were the breakout players. Now, if we summarise and see how I did, so definite hits was Dean Howson and Liam Delap. Certainly big hits. I'll also give myself a point for Elliot Anderson, Yarmulke, Josh Ajin Bong and Ethan Winery. And I'll give myself half points for James McAtee and Mikey Moore. The other selections weren't too great, but I think I got most of the breakout stars this campaign, at least the big ones. Missing probably Lewis Skelly, but I'm not too annoyed I didn't pick that. Maybe Ahmad, Lucas Bergvall I could have picked, and same with Morgan Rogers, but overall, you know what, I actually think I did pretty decent, and I am intrigued. Let's have a look at the comments. Someone said Oscar Bob over James McAtee, which, I mean, sadly that would have been a good choice, but Oscar Bob has been injured for the entire year. Trey Nioni for Liverpool, so he has been a player who has got a couple minutes for Liverpool and has looked pretty decent, but I wouldn't say he's a breakout star, but yeah, he did get his first team debut this season. Okay, so Big Bushman said, really hope we keep Winery and Lewis Skelly. I mean, he didn't say that they were going to be breakout players, but he did mention Lewis Skelly, so shout out there. This guy said, Bergvall, Gray, Mikey Moore, Jed Spence. You know what, fair play, Jed Spence. I also forgot to mention has probably been a breakout player. Gray has been good, Bergvall in there. Overhead kick said Aston Villa should be Morgan Rogers. After selling DRB, fans are not bothered as they actually prefer Rogers anyway. I mean, yeah, a shout out there to Thomas. He said Rogers, and he was definitely right there. I mean, horrible spelling there, but yeah, you were right, fair play. And we also had, I think the breakout star for United would be Harry Amas, who has made his first team debut in the Premier League, but I wouldn't say it's been a breakout star, but he has emerged into the first team, which is nice. And now look, we even had Goldbridge hating on the videos, that's nice. But anyways, those were the breakout players from the campaign. Let me know how you think I did in the comments below. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like.